Hey, it's RW here. Not very often that I buy myself a totally frivolous item that has absolutely no function in the shop, isn't designed to make me money, isn't designed to defend my family in case of a zombie attack. This is just a completely frivolous purchase on my part. I actually have been feeling guilty about it ever since I purchased it. I've been feeling like a big bum for spending my money on something frivolous. But every now and then, something just pushes my buttons and I gotta try something. And after I visited my friend Spitz and played with him and saw his Forza Basher in action, I said, I gotta have a toy. So I bought my daughter a little toy Maisto crawler. And the little toy Maisto crawler is pretty awesome, I'll tell you. For a $40 toy, I was very impressed. But I wanted something I could tinker with, something I could fiddle with. And as you can imagine, there's all kinds of things you got to fiddle with RCs because they break. That's like what they... It's one thing people don't know about RCs that have never done any RC, using. You're lucky if you make it through a session without breaking it. If you take your helicopter out, or you take your basher out, or your scale truck, or whatever, out, and you don't strip a servo, you don't pop an axle shaft, you don't fry an ESC, something weird doesn't happen, well, you had a good day, right? An unusual day. Because I can tell you, the minute Spitz took it was like a $700 frickin' toy, took his toy out, the minute he took it out, he broke it. Broke the spoiler on the back. This is a Rockslide RS10 XT. I got it off of eBay for $155 shipped. It comes with a nickel metal hydride battery pack, and the remote does not come with batteries for the remote. It takes apparently only 4. Yay! 4 batteries. I guess they've updated their electronics from 2009, but didn't update their housing, which is fine. Like I was mentioning, this has been around since 2009, but they have done some upgrades to it. This is a new style body. It's the red body. Let's get a little closer. Have a look at what you get. Well, obviously you're going to get your remote, your little antenna stub, body, manual, quick reference guide, and a rock crawler. You get a wall wart battery charger, and you get a pretty crappy looking battery pack. I'll tell you, it's not impressed. But it's better than having no battery pack. Wanted to show you some of the things that make this a great buy for $155. It's got a fully articulated chassis. Everybody does this. Everybody loves to twist this thing around like a pretzel and show you just how crazy it gets. You can get it that far before you start lifting the rear wheel off. That can be good or bad, so you can always change your suspension settings. You could even change out your shocks. You can make your own links. All sorts of things you can do to mod this to make it into whatever kind of crawler you want. If you wanted to make this more like a scale crawler, scale type of buggy, you could get this really flat like this. And you could put an 1/8 scale body over this, and you could go trailing with it. Obviously, you'd have to do some stuff. You'd probably have to cut some coils off the shocks, maybe reposition them, do things like that. But you could make this look like a big old scale trailer, but it would still have some crawling capability. The way they give it to you, as you can see, there's like no droop. Once I let go like this, that's as far as it wants to go down. It is fully down. And what you really need, I think, from what I've been telling from watching crawlers, is you need to have it somewhere in the middle. You need to get your deal adjusted here where it'll be pretty much in the middle so that you can drop down some and you can come up some. As it is now, I think it's oversprung, and it might be underdamped. Might need a little thicker shock oil, and I think it might need a little less spring. But out of the box, you can use it, you can play with it, and it gives you that appearance of extreme high ground clearance, which I think is one of their selling points. So when the customer takes it out of the box, there it is, all jacked up. But I think in reality, you would want this to be more like this, so you could go up and down. You can't get that just by changing the shock geometry. You've actually got to either put lighter springs in or cut these springs, is probably my guess. Things that I already know, okay, I'm not telling you from personal experience, but just things that I have observed from other rock slide owners, is this servo is going to strip out and give you trouble. It may happen in 15 minutes, it may happen after a few days, but it's going to happen. This is going to strip out. That's what I've been seeing. Everybody seems to have to change out the servos. So even though you're getting a $155 crawler, I think what you're going to end up having to do is change out your servos. And that can be expensive. To get really good servos, you could probably spend as much as you just spent on the crawler on a pair of servos easily. But, you know, search around, find something in between. Okay. These motors. Everybody has been saying these motors are just fine for what this crawler can do, what it's designed to do. But that after a while the brushes get all crudded out and you start losing power and you get stall. You get stall when you come up on a lump or something. So people change out the motors, but I haven't seen people change out the motors and being ecstatic about what they got when they changed out the motors. They were almost like, boy, this seems to kind of be about the same as the other motor. I was expecting better. So what people who really want more than this thing is really designed to give you, and don't want to pay for expensive axles and everything, they put 540 motors in here. You have to mod this housing, and you have to find the correct pinion that matches the pitch of the spur, which I believe is 0.6 millimeter. And so people are changing out these with 540s. People are running 2S lipos in these with the stock ESC. I think to really get the most out of this unit, you would need to run 2 ESCs. I think you'd also need a BEC or whatever it's called, a voltage corrector. Make sure that you're getting good voltage to your servos, because when you start trying to push all this voltage to 2 big motors, 2 big ESCs, and probably 2 big servos, now you're talking about something that costs 5 times more than what you just paid. Because really, the rock crawler thing, people don't realize how expensive it gets, but it gets ridiculous very, very quick. Just to do simple things like put a couple of ESCs on, get a dig function, to be able to run either the front or the back motors independently for different situations, probably putting on different links, different shocks, different servos, different tie rods, different arms, you know. Then I see people even modding, putting on different knuckles, putting in different axles. I'm wondering at this point why they just don't buy a Bully or a Berg and just go that direction with it. Because it's basically a cheap, fun toy. I mean, for a hobby grade, almost, I would say this is about hobby grade. You know, for $155 to be able to run with it, I think you're doing okay. So that's my initial impressions on the RS10. As it stands, things that I would definitely look into is, this is hinky. That's just not right. When you are crawling, if your wheel were to deflect or squish or push over, as you can see, it is possible it could chafe these wires and tear them right off the motor, or at least put some sort of vibration into them that eventually breaks the solder point. I think it's a bad thing, just to have them sticking out like that with a wire tie on it. Same thing over here. It's identical, it's symmetrical. This vehicle doesn't really seem to have a front or back. It seems like it could go either way. It could be front or back. Obviously, whole hosts of things you can do to change the geometry of it, put longer arms, put shorter arms, cut off this whole area, remount the tray up higher, get rid of this whole tray, just use one tray, all kinds of crazy things I've seen people doing with it. So I think it's a great tinkerer's platform. It kind of reminds me of like the High Point 995, where you get a real cheap entry-level thing that you can tinker with and then make it cost 5 times more than it really is. But it's never better than a High Point 995. It'll always be a RedCat RS10. No matter how much money you throw at it, you're not going to be able to sell this thing on eBay for $700 because it's an RS10. People go, I can get one of those for $155. What are you talking about? But if it was an Axial, if it was an XR10, you could get $700 for it if you threw a bunch of parts on it, because people know that's the one I want. But the thing is I've always been value conscious when it comes to trying out new stuff. I may not like it, I may not care for it, I may not do it that long. So while the bug is biting me, I went ahead and got a cheap entry level. It's got a pretty good 3-channel radio. From what I've heard, people like the radio okay. 3 channels, and you cycle between 4 steering modes like this. You got your trims. You got your trims. You got your trims. You got your trims. Right? You got your cycle for cycling through the steering modes. And just like any RC, you steer it and you power it. Only uses 4 batteries. That's good. Makes it lighter to hold. So that's about it. I thought I'd just give you guys my initial impressions, give you a quick look at this interesting toy. I'm going to be doing a few preventative modifications before I run it. Make sure everything's nice and safe and lashed down the way I like. Then we'll take it out for a crawl. Have a look at it. Let you guys see how it runs. Okay, thanks for watching. As always, like, comment, subscribe, share. Tattoo this on your back like a trash stamp. No, don't do that. Go crawling. Do that.